Hello everyone. For today's oil painting portrait, I am working on a commission. This is an 11 by 14 commission from somebody over in Europe. It's a new client, and they wanted me to approach this painting like my usual work. They didn't want me to do a painting of themselves or one of their family members for a gift. This is just a model that I have 1,000 photos of, but they did want to have a specific look. So they were referencing one of my previous paintings that already sold. They asked to have it look like that, but they also liked the idea of using some different colors. So I used some blues and some purples mixed together for the final painting. Feel free to fast forward to the second half of this if you want to see how I apply the really intense color. The first half of this painting is all about drawing. It's all about getting the shapes in the right place. It's the shape-based drawing method that I like to use, where I just work on the big shapes first, get those overall outlines in the right place, and then start slowly refining down to the details. I don't like to get those details figured out until I know everything else is in the right spot. That way I'm not having to redo anything. If I get the nose perfectly done and then I find out after the fact that it's just not quite where I wanted it overall, I don't have to repaint a nose. That's why it's always good to just kind of paint those big shapes first, the medium-sized shapes, and then work your way down to those smaller and smaller shapes until you're happy with the level of detail that you have. Now, if you would like to learn a bit more about my oil painting process, you'd like to learn how to draw like me, how to paint like me, feel free to go over to my Patreon account. I have a bunch of oil painting tutorials on there. I have over 50 tutorials and exercises, but I also have art downloads. If you just want to have some of my art on your walls, you can download an exclusive image of one of my oil paintings that is unique for only my Patreon members. So go over, check that out if you'd like. Now, getting back to this painting, this is an 11 by 14 inch panel with a 2-inch cradle on the back. It's Ampersand brand, which I love Ampersand. They're a great panel to use when painting. They have a really nice kind of toothy surface, really subtle toothy surface to the finish. And I'm also using my TREKELL brushes. I'm using my trusty TREKELL brushes. I use these for almost every painting. These are the bright brushes, and they're the Spectrum series of brushes. These are really fine bristles, so they don't leave a lot of texture behind. I do like the surface consistency I get with these. I've been using these quite a bit lately, and it really gives me a chance to have smooth areas on my paintings, but also, if I want, I can get really highly textured with some other tools or just put the paint on thicker, and it leaves you a lot of options with these brushes. Now, this painting is all about subtle colors at first. The first layer is very much monotone in a way. I call this a grisaille style of painting, where the warmer colors are in the shadows, but then they get a little bit cooler towards the highlights, and there's this gradual shift between the shadows and the highlights with those colors. But once I'm done with that, once I get that all figured out, I like to shift over to some really intense color and think about things in a little bit of a different way. I like to think of things in a more abstract way, a little bit more expressive with my brush strokes. I'm a little bit more intentional with my brush strokes. But that second half, if you want to get to that, feel free to fast forward. You can check out all the color I'm going to add to this. That's where I have a lot more fun. You'll see a lot more story coming out of the painting once I start adding that color. And there's a lot of different ways to tell stories. I like to tell stories with color and the way the color interacts with the subject, but it's just the way I like to paint. It's the way I like to express myself with my paintings. I feel every artist has some unique vision as far as how they want to express themselves. So if you're an artist, you're trying to learn how to paint, you're trying to learn how to create your own unique story, it's always great to kind of look at your own history, to look at your own life and find that unique vision for your artwork. That's the way I found that worked for me. And it's a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight. This took years to develop this style. It wasn't just something I saw online and go, oh, I'm just going to match that person's style. No, it's my own style. But there are a lot of abstract portrait painters out there. I'm not the only one out there that's doing this. I would call us kind of a subgenre. The abstract portrait artist is kind of a subgenre of the portrait style of painting. And that's what's always spoken to me, is this kind of artwork. Now at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and put some music on so you can watch the full process for this painting called Emanate.